Okay, in this video we're going to take a look at the toe clamp. What I would like to do for this presentation is walk you through step by step from scratch developing the part, and then we'll take a look in part 2 how to lay it out using a drawing to set up the drawing views as well. So if we study the part for a few minutes here, we can take a look at our 3 views, and you can see there's even a partial auxiliary view there to indicate the dimensioning for what is the counterbore. Okay, now we've got our front view, our top view, and our side view, and we'll be able to use all these views for the required dimensions. So I would suggest, again, think about symmetry, and if we started in the front profile, we can easily do a bidirectional or mid-plane extrusion to create the base. I would then suggest for us to do the hole and counter hole here in the top face, and then take a look at the inclined plane here to produce the legacy counterbore hole. Okay, with legacy options, what we could do is we could specify our own custom counterbore, right? All right, so I'll pull this off to the side. We'll start a new model. We'll go ahead and create a new part, and again this is using decimal inches, so if we just take a quick look at our formatting here, we're going to use the inch pound second units. So I said if we start with the front plane, right, again we want to make sure that our origin is turned on, and at this point I'll just make the bottom left hand corner of the base the origin, make that line up with the origin. Alright, so let's go ahead and get normal to that view. Okay, and then we'll just start sketching. Let's go over here to sketch and use line, and what we've got here is we'll do our, let's do the bottom part here first, just roughly sketch it out. We got a little angle there, flat part there, and a different angled face here, the top part there, and then we come down for the corner. Now again, I just sketched it out, but using the dimensions. Okay, we've got 680 here, and then we've got a total height of 180, and then here we can see in the right view we've got a height here to the base of 0.35. Now we got 2 different angles, right? The first small angle here is 138.81. So if I touch the side here, you'll notice I don't have any other edge here, right, to calculate that angle. And if I touch the bottom edge here, you'll notice I either get 30, 35, but if I pull my dimension on this side, then you'll see the wider angle that I'm looking for, right? So if I place that like this and simply type in 138.81, okay, there's our angle. Now the next angle is at 135, so I'll do the same thing. So touch the inclined plane there, and then the bottom, just adjust it to the right side there, 135. Okay, so it looks like we got most of the profile complete, right? Actually, if you take a look at the top sketch, you're also going to see some dimensions there, because we've got a distance from this corner to this corner of 0.4. We got a distance from here to this corner of 0.7, and then we also have the other distance of 145. So let's see if we can use these dimensions that way. So from here to there, I pull it straight up, because look, if I pull it off to the side, that's an aligned dimension. So keep it vertical or horizontal, and this one here should be the 0.4. Now you can see it already is. It's set that way. That's why I'm going to cancel this. And it's because I already have my dimension there and this dimension. Okay. Now the next one, and just to make sure it's the right dimension, it's going to be, what is that? 0.70. So let's check it from here to there, right? From here to here, we got 0.54. If I place it, I can change it to 0.70. All right? And you can see the angle still maintained, just pushes it further to the left. All right. Now, we also have the length up here, which is a total of 425, right? So let's go ahead and set that. I think that's all we'll need to do. Now, you'll notice it's already been set too. There's a conflict here only because, look, I already have this dimension and I already put in this dimension here. Okay? So we can validate, and another way would be to use evaluate and measure. So if I just wanted to measure from one point to the other without having to use my dimensioning, I could confirm it that way as well. All right, good. So we've got our base profile, and so now when I go to features, I'm going to use extrude boss base. Also, when I look at direction 1, I'm going to use midplane. All right, and so the total width here is going to be, what's that, 2. Okay, and that way you can see my front profile sketch perfectly bisects that whole extrude. If I click OK there, there's our base solid. All right, so now we can take a look at the top face. I'll select that, make a sketch, take a look at it normally. All right, and looking at our drawing here, you can see the dimensions for those slots. Okay, so we got a counterbore there. You can see there's a radius of 0.50, and that goes down to a depth of 0.25. So why don't we lay out the geometry to produce that? And I would tell you, this is where we can use offset. It's a perfect example where we could use offset. So here, what we could do is, starting on this face, let's go ahead and create a reference line, right? And you can see here's the origin. So I'm just going to project something a little bit from the origin all the way across that face, make sure it's horizontal. Okay, and then we can start placing our circles. I'm going to do the larger ones first, which are 2 radii 0.50. All right, so we can do one here, and we'll do one here. Now, notice I made them slightly different size. But here's what you want to do. Here's what you could do with relations. If I select one object first and then use Control-click, now look at my properties. Now you can add relations here. The relation is going to be equal. So if I change one, it changes the other two. Okay? Now using Smart Dimension, I'm going to set that to 0.5. Now notice, right now, if I just place the dimension, you can see it's in diameter, right? Obviously I could do the calculation, but if you wanted to use these dimensions in your drawing too, then you might want to change it. So first, if you select the dimension, right-click, and use Display as Radius. Now you can see it as a radius, double-click, and then just put in the radius of 0.5. Also, we need the positioning. So from this edge to the center, we've got 1. And then between the two, so I select the edge of the circle here, select this circle edge, place the dimension, and that should be 150. Okay? Now, we need 2 tangent lines, right, that are horizontal. Here's what we could do. If I just create the tangent line that's horizontal, it's a little bit bigger too than expected. Okay? What I want to do is create a relation between this line and the 2 circles. And then I could just make a mirror, right? So how do I do that? First, Control-click, control click the line. So the circle and the line. Create that tangency first, right? Now I can assume, because the line is horizontal and this is the exact same dimension and it's collinear, right, that it's also tangent to that circle. So we don't need to do anything else. But before I mirror it, I'm going to trim it here and here. Now to mirror it, I'm going to use mirror entities. The entities to mirror will be the circle, or sorry, the line, and the axis would be this center axis right here. Now we can trim the circles. Okay? Now, this is the profile to create that cut extrude depth to 0.25, right? But we've got another profile, and that one's going to go all the way through. So I would suggest that that should be a different feature, right? So with this profile only, I'm going to switch to features and use cut extrude, and here I'm only going to go down to 0.25. Okay? If I look at it from the side, you can see there how it's going into the model, right? And when I click OK, there's the cut extrude. All right, so now you can see that the inner profile is offset by how much? 0.20, right? 0.20. So again, it's going to be on this face right here. Select the face, create a sketch, select the entire chain, right? Now, how can I do an entire chain? If I select one edge here, I can right-click, and I should be able to select the entire chain. And actually, it's probably even simpler than that. You'll see here's select loop, right? There's the loop that's selected. But you'll notice also that if you just start the offset command, it'll automatically assume a loop. Let me show you. I'm going to deselect that for a second. I'm already in the new sketch here, but I'll start with offset, okay? And you'll notice here we've got the dimension. I'll set it to 0.20, right? And notice when I come here to the edge, notice how it only does that edge, but here if I select, right click, and select loop, right? There I can use offset that way and create the entire loop. But now I think I have a double, right? Let me get rid of one of those. There we go. So offsetting, and that's not to the right side, right? Can I fix that? Is it possible? If you look here, here's the dimension, right? And I think I've already completed the command. So let's just redo it here. Let me undo that. All right, let me go back. And then again, let's start with offset. We already have the value there, 0.20. And before I click OK, I want to make sure that I can reverse it. So here, if I just select one edge, you see it's just one edge, right click, and I should be able to select loop. Okay, select the loop. Oops, wrong side. My bad. Select loop. Oh, I got out of the command one more time. Let me try this again. I'll cut this out, don't worry. Alright, here we go. We're going to use offset. 0.20 is our value. When I come here, this is what's tricky, because what I want to do is right click first and see, do you see loop? There's loop. I'm right over the edge, right? You can see how the edge, not the face, but the edge is selected. When I do that, now you can see the whole thing, right? And then here I can reverse it. That's what I want to do. Once you verify that it's on the right side, it's the right dimension, then go ahead and click OK. Now, we did this so that we could go back to feature and go to Extrude Cut, and this time, here's what we could do. We could do up to next, which is the bottom, or if we did through all, we would be cutting through everything below that plane. So you got to be careful when you make those selections. I'm just going to use up to next, and then click OK. And we could see here as we orbit, we're cutting all the way through. All right, so there's that feature. Now we still got a couple more features, okay? Let's take a look at the counterbore, which is on this face right here. Now we have the auxiliary view to indicate its position and the dimensions of the counterbore. If we take a look at our features tab here, you'll see the whole wizard. And what we want to do with the whole wizard here is we want to be able to take a look at, let's pull this design tree out a little bit more. You're going to see here's the hole types. If you look here at the bottom right hand corner, this is the legacy hole. The legacy hole is the one you want because that's what we'll use to customize our profile. The type is the counterbore. There's the profile. Down below is where you're going to see the parameters. Now you can look right now, if you're not familiar with the features of the counterbore, you can see here 0.79, that refers to the depth, right? The counterbore depth. And then you'll see up here the larger 157 diameter, that's the counterbore diameter. And then the smaller diameter, the 0.79, is just the diameter that represents the hole through. Okay? So if we take a look at our sketch, we've got 0.80 as the counterbore diameter, right? So if I go there, highlight that box, that's 0.80. The counterbore depth there is 0.25. Okay? And the hole through there is going to be 0.5. Again, be careful because it's diameter, not radius, right? Now the depth, the depth here refers to the total depth of the hole. But remember, we're going all the way through, right? That's the option right here. You don't have to worry about this depth because you have this option right here. Now, the second thing you need to do is if you go to the top here of the properties, you'll see we're in type. Now I'm going to go over here to position, right? In position, when I select the face, this is where I'm going to place it. So if I place it just anywhere, I'm just going to place it right there, right? There's the hole. Just going to place it anywhere, and in order to use the dimensioning, I'm going to use right-click and select. Now I can use Smart Dimension. If you escape, you cancel the entire command. Don't do that. Use right-click and select. Smart Dimension, snap to the point, right? Snap to the point from here to the edge. That should be 1. And then again, snap from the top face, or the bottom face rather, to the center point, and that should be 1. And that's how you're going to position it. Okay? Click OK, and you're done with the counterbore feature. Actually, if we go into the front view and we change our display style to show hidden lines, that's what you see right there, right? You can confirm the way it appears. The last feature we have here is the notch. Now this is a little bit difficult because we don't have true dimension. All we have are dimensions related to the top view, right? So let's go to the top view here. And what we'll be able to do is, let's say we'll be able to use the top plane if we want, which is at the bottom of the part, right, to create the profile that we see dimensioned in the top view, right? But we want this cut extrude to go at an angle. Yes? We need that to go at an angle. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at the last feature here. This is that notch in the bottom front part of our base extrusion. And we only have these dimensions here to establish the angle of this profile from the top view. So what I would suggest is if we create a plane that is parallel with this edge here, that in that sketch we can create the proper profile, which can then be converted or projected onto this face to give us the correct orientation for the cut extrude. So with that understanding, let's go back to our model here. I'm going to use this face, right? I use this face to create a new sketch. Now, I'll switch back to top view. Okay. I need to see the origin so I can establish a center line. Zoom in again, and it's in this area roughly where I'm going to create that profile. And you'll see that if I use the dynamic mirror, right, so I'll select the axis and dynamic mirror, and I'm going to start right on the edge and create my profile just like that. Okay. Now I'll use smart dimension there, and all I need to do is dimension half of it, right? And if I dimension half of it, I'm going to do it like this. It's called 74.99 divided by 2, right? And there's my angle. Also, the position is from this edge to the corner is going to be 0.19. Now, that's the profile, but it's not going to do anything for me to produce the actual cut, as you can see there, right? But here's what I'm going to do with this. That's one sketch. That's like a reference sketch, okay? All right, now that I have this sketch in this plane, what I want to do now is project this sketch. Now originally, if I was going to use convert entities, what it would do is it would project these sketch entities from a plane that's parallel to the plane that I want to project it to. What I want to do instead is I want to project these lines straight down onto this face. And I'll be able to do that and then use the projected lines to create yet another sketch that I will then use to cut extrude. So if we take a look at curves, and you look here at projected curve, what I'm able to do is I'm going to first sketch onto faces. The sketch that I'll be projecting will be this sketch right here, these two lines and the construction line. And the face that I'm going to be projecting to would be this angled face. And I want to reverse the direction. Now you can see there's the projected sketch lines. When I click OK here, there's my sketch lines. You can see in the design tree, it is really a feature, and it consumed sketch 6. So what I would like to do now is simply use the face to create yet another sketch, and using these projected curves here, I'll be able to convert these two entities onto this new sketch. So what I'll do is use convert entities. I'll select the entities. Let's go back again, right? And there's converted entities. You can see there's the sketch. And now what we'll be able to do is use our features and use Extrude Cut. Now you'll be able to see it as we go around the back to the bottom side there. We can use the contour. Select the contour first. Alright, we'll come back again here. And you can see right now blindly to a certain depth. And if I use up to next, it's only going up to the bottom of the face there, as you can see. So that's not going to be a good option. If I use up to surface and select the bottom surface there, we don't see the preview quite well, but even though I can use through all, and I'll make it go through the entire base there. When I click OK, now we should see the correct projected profile as a cut extrude. If I switch back to the front view, now you'll be able to see the correct profile there as well. Alright, so that's part one. Let's take a look at now presenting this drawing with the standard 3 views. Okay?